This is Game Pass Roulette. In this series, I use a wheel to randomly select which game I'll be playing off of the Game Pass. From there, I will then attempt to get every single achievement in that game. So to not waste time, let's get into this wheel spin.
Okay then, let's find the second game for this series then. Let's give the wheel a spin. Hopefully it's something a bit bigger and something that I actually know. But there's plenty of games to go through, so let's see. Quantum Break. I've definitely heard of that. I don't know too much about it, but I think it's a game that came out a few years ago, so let's give it a look then.
Quantum Break is a unique action-adventure game developed by Remedy Entertainment and published by Microsoft Studios, released in 2016. It blends traditional gameplay with a TV episodic narrative, offering an innovative approach to storytelling. The story follows Jack Joyce as he battles against the powerful Monarch Solutions, a sinister corporation led by Paul Serene, a former friend turned antagonist. The central conflict is about fixing a fracture in time caused by an experiment gone wrong. Quantum Break is a third-person action-adventure shooter that centers around time manipulation. So please sit back and relax and enjoy me getting every single achievement in this game. Before we jump into the video, please, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button as it goes a long way. Only 0.5% of people that had watched these videos in the past 28 days are subscribed, so please press that subscribe button. Let's jump into this. The game starts with you controlling Jack Joyce as Paul Serene shows you around his facilities. He's invited you in to show you something that he's been working on that he believes can change the world. Whilst walking around the offices, this is where you can get your first achievement. After walking around the outside area picking up as many collectibles as possible, you'll then enter the office building. Once you head upstairs, you'll find a projector with a bunch of chairs in front. If you go over and interact with these, you'll sit down and Paul will begin a presentation. After a few seconds of listening to this, you'll get the first achievement, Marketing Spiral.
Our primary drive as a species.
Paul takes you down to the basement of this facility and shows you a time machine that he's been working on. You assist Paul with turning it on and getting it set up to be used for the first time. Unfortunately, something goes wrong and the time machine malfunctions. This causes the energy from the time machine to be pushed all around the room, including inside of Jack. This is what gives him his powers through this game. The other side effect of this happening is that time itself fractures. This unlocks the first story-related achievement, a fracture in time. After time is fractured, you begin to be hunted. It turns out the people hunting you are Monarch Studios. This is the company that Paul owns. At this point, it's unknown why they are after you and why you're important to them. Whilst escaping through the facilities, you meet up with a character called Beth. This unlocks the next story achievement, Mysterious Stranger.
Gotta move.
After an extensive fight, you eventually get captured by Monarch. Although you think that Paul has died, it turns out that he's alive. This, however, isn't the Paul you know, and is the Paul from the future. Still, you're unaware of why they're hunting you down and want you, but they do capture you, and this ends Act 1. By ending Act 1, you get the achievement, Hold On To Your Hope and Burn. One of the big parts in Quantum Break are the multiple choices that you can make throughout the game that alter the story. At the end of each act, you'll be put in a position where you can make one of two choices. These are all based off of what's happened in that act, and then what is to happen in the act upcoming. With these choices, there is also an achievement linked to them. This therefore means that you have to actually pick both choices, which gives you a good understanding of what's going to happen in this game. In the first choice, you get the options of either picking the PR route or the hardline route. The first time round, I picked the PR route, which manipulates the media to frame Jack Joyce as the villain in the university incident, getting me the achievement, the soft touch.
We need the city on our side.
I then quickly reloaded the checkpoint and went back to this point and picked the hardline option. With this option, Paul orders for all of the witnesses to be eliminated. This is then the option that I played through the rest of the game with. After picking this, I got the achievement, Iron Fist.
Need to be erased.
One of the big selling points of this game when it first released was the fact that there was a TV show linked to the game being released alongside it. This then means that once you complete each act, you can then watch the episode of the TV show that sort of links to that act that you've just played. It adds more to the story and the lore that goes on in this universe. There is also an achievement linked to this to watch an episode of the show with all the quantum ripples of that act unlocked. Quantum ripples are collectible in this game, and there's a few of them scattered around each of the acts. I wasn't particularly looking forward to this, as from what I read, you originally had to watch the entire episode for this achievement to unlock. These episodes are around half an hour long, so I wasn't really looking forward to spending half an hour watching something I wasn't too interested in at the time. Fortunately, I think due to the age of the game, the episodes no longer load in properly, so you'll just get the achievement as soon as you press play. This then unlocks the episode Spreading Ripples. Another collectible that you can find throughout the game are Cronin saucers. These are bright lights that are hidden around each of the areas that you can find and interact with. When you collect any of these, you'll unlock a point. You can then use these points to upgrade your time powers. This is something that you want to do throughout the game, as the powers can become very strong and you need them to finish some of the harder levels towards the end of the game. When you do this for the first time, however, you will get the achievement Cronin Surge.
Thanks for the good. Asshole.
The next achievement I got was another collectible related achievement. Alongside quantum ripples that are scattered through the levels, there are also intel items. These add to the lore of the game and are quite interesting to read through as you pick them up as you go. When you're able to find a quantum ripple and an intel item on a singular level, you'll unlock the achievement A Link to the Future. As you progress through the game, time begins to fracture more and more. This also means that Jack's powers begin to develop even more as well. One power that you get very early on that is very, very strong is the Time Blast. When you're first able to use it, you'll get a sort of tutorial opportunity where you can take out 3 enemies at once. If you manage to kill all 3 of them with one single Time Blast, you'll get the achievement Everybody Gather Around. Continuing through the game, I picked up more and more collectibles. This included a lot more Cronin sources. Therefore, I was able to level up a bunch of my abilities to the highest point. For fully upgrading Time Dodge, I got the achievement Stop and Go. Time Dodge allows you to teleport from one point to another, being very strong and very useful throughout the game. The next story-related achievement that I got was a William Joyce original. After managing to escape from Monarch with the help of Beth, we managed to locate where Jack Joyce's brother built the original time machine. This therefore means that there are 2 time machines and not just the one that was destroyed previously in the game. For getting to the end of part 3 of Act 2, you'll get the achievement A William Joyce Original.
Second time machine.
It's determined that the only way to get this time machine to work is to get the help of a Monarch scientist. Obviously, the chances of trying to get them to help us is very, very low, so the idea is to then capture them. To best achieve this, Jack Joyce hands himself in, and this ends Act 2. This unlocks the achievement Not a Friendly Invitation. With Jack now captured by Monarch, it's now time to make your next decision in this game. The first of these options is the business option. This is to leave Jack with Monarch and let them deal with him and focus on running the business. By selecting this option, you'll get the achievement Bigger Fish to Fry. The second option, and the option that I chose, was personal. This option allows for Paul to spend time with Jack working on their relationship and let Monarch fend for itself. Once you select this one, you'll get the achievement You and Me. This fully ends Act 2 and we move on to Act 3. After getting away from the people that were holding him captive, Jack is now walking around Monarch Lab. This is where you get to see the true scale of Monarch and see all of the technology that they've been working on for the time fracture. This proves that it's been planned and they've been aware of it for a long time. Whilst walking around the lab, you'll find Dr. Amaril's office. In here is a Cronin harness. Whilst wearing one of these, it means you can move around freely when time fractures or gets paused. By picking one of these up for Beth, you'll unlock the achievement Something Fashionable. I believe this achievement can be missed, so just keep an eye out for it. Another ability that you unlock throughout the game is Time Rush. It's like Time Rush, but instead of teleporting, it allows you to run normally whilst everything around you slows down. It's great for closing down distance between enemies, and you can pair it with a takedown. After using it for a little while, you'll get the achievement One Foot in Front of the Other. This is for time rushing a total of 100 meters.
Oh, shit.
When using dodge focus, it slows down time after you come out of it. This opens up the perfect opportunity to get easy headshots. This becomes even easier as you fully upgrade it, as the window of time that you can get these headshots grows. I probably found myself using time dodge the most out of any of these abilities, so I got a lot of these headshots. When you get your 10th headshot using this ability, you'll get the achievement Focus, Aim, Pull. Fighting your way through the lab, you're eventually able to find the doctor that you're looking for. You're able to get her help through a great bit of persuasion that others might call kidnapping. Her and Beth both get out of the area using a boat, but you have to fight your way out and eventually get your hands on a supercar. Escaping the area, this is the end of Act 3. For completing Act 3, you'll get the achievement You're Coming With Us. It's now time to make the next decision. Paul believes that there's a traitor, and it's your choice to pick who you believe it is. The two choices are the Dr. Amaral or his right-hand man, Hatch. For the first time round, I chose to trust the Doctor and suspect Hatch as the traitor. For doing this, you get the achievement The Doctor. The second option is to trust Hatch and believe that the Doctor is the traitor. Hatch is played by Lance Reddick, who I think is an absolute legend, so I picked to trust him. I'm not sure if this is necessarily the right way to go about it, but it seemed right for me. After selecting him, I got the achievement The Right-Hand Man.
They just pulled.
When you get back to the time machine with the doctor who can now work on fixing it, you explore the area. Whilst exploring the area, you find a lot of personal possessions of Jack's and Beth's that she didn't realise were there. Beth then tells us a story about how when she was younger she bumped into a woman who told her key information about her future that came true. After walking in and finding a few more of Beth's possessions, we determined that that was her from the future. This unlocks the achievement Distant Mirrors.
We can try it your way.
With the time machine now fixed, it's now time to use it. Stepping into it and going back in time to try and save the day, you get the achievement Take That Trip.
This is where our notes get hazy.
As we're nearing the end of the game, it gives me the perfect opportunity to mop up some of the collectibles achievements. The first one of these I was able to get was for collecting all of the quantum ripples. I think out of the collectibles there's the least amount of these in the game, but once you get all of them you get the achievement Tossing Stones in a Pond. One of the other abilities that I haven't really gone into is Time Stop. Surprisingly, this ability, wait for it, stops time. You compare this with firing bullets into it and doing a load of damage in one, or just stopping enemies from attacking you. Whilst using it for quite a while, you'll accumulate 5 minutes of time stopped. Once this happens, you'll get the achievement Daylight Saving Time.
We can survive this together.
With the end of this act, it's now time to make our next decision. The first of the two decisions is to show control. By showing control, Paul holds onto his reason in a final effort to see his plan through. I chose this first, and by doing this, I got the achievement Rational Thought.
Dismissed.
Yes, sir.
Following making this decision, it's time to make the second decision and get the other achievement. The second decision is to show surrender. In this decision, Paul stops fighting his Cronin syndrome and loses faith in his plan and Monarch. Again, with this being the second choice that I chose, it was the one that I used for the story. After picking this and watching the cutscene, I got the achievement Paranoia.
Sir? Are you alright?
A certain type of enemy in this game uses Cronon harnesses to be able to move around whilst the time ripples and fractures. This type of enemy can be quite difficult to track as they dart around quickly and you can easily lose them. They don't take any more bullets than the average enemy, but due to this they can be difficult to take down. Fortunately, if you're able to get behind them or even get a lucky shot, you can destroy their Cronon harness, which will kill them instantly. Once you do this 15 times, you'll get the achievement Break All Their Toys. Eventually we're able to locate the countermeasure. The countermeasure is the key piece of equipment that is responsible for taking everything back to normal and saving the day. Once again, this is located in one of Monarch's labs, so you have to fight through a lot of enemies to get here, but once you do, you'll unlock the achievement, the countermeasure. After grabbing a hold of the countermeasure, you'll also be in the area where you can pick up your final intel object. Obviously, this is only the case if you've managed to grab every single one whilst playing through the game like I was able to. Once you interact with the body bag on the floor next to the lift, you'll get the achievement Knowledge is Power. Time Shield is another one of the abilities that is very useful throughout the game. As you can expect, it's using time as a shield, so it's very creative. This basically just puts up a barrier that blocks any projectiles incoming. This is very, very strong in some of the later stages because you're taking a lot of bullets from a lot of enemies. After using it for quite a while, you'll eventually deflect 200 bullets. This unlocks you the achievement Personal Space. Now that Jack has gone back in time and got the countermeasure, it's time to save William from where he dies. You need William to successfully be able to use the time machine because Jack doesn't know how to use it himself. Using his new abilities and getting to the point where William dies, Jack saves him. This then unlocks the next story related achievement, Last Second Rescue.
To make sure it remained only an illusion. It's all.
Getting back to the original time machine, this gives you the opportunity to pick up the final few collectibles. Once you collect the final emails, presentations, TV shows, radios and posters, you'll get the achievement Media Baron. Unlike other games, the collectibles in this definitely add to the story and I'd recommend picking them up as they all sort of add a bit to the lore. The variety in them also makes it quite entertaining too, so I would definitely recommend it. Also, in this final location is the final Cronin Surge. Once you find it and pick it up, you'll be able to unlock the last skill upgrade available. This now means that you're fully upgraded and all your powers are the strongest they can possibly be. You will definitely need these for the final boss fight. This also unlocks the achievement Maximum Effort for upgrading every single skill to the maximum. After getting ready to start the time machine, Paul appears once again. This opens up the final fight of the game. The majority of this game, even on the hardest difficulty, isn't massively difficult, but this final boss fight can be a real ball ache. I had to attempt it quite a few times and even got to the point where I was looking online to see how people had done it previously. It seems to be quite a common fight to struggle with in this game. This is due to not only the enemies coming through and being quite difficult to take down anyway on hard difficulty, but also the occasional nuke-esque explosion that Paul would set off that basically covers the entire room that's an insta-kill. If you aren't paying attention and making sure that everything's being dealt with at once, you can very easily die, and it takes you straight back to the beginning of this boss fight. As mentioned previously, this is why it's very beneficial to have the fully upgraded abilities. This is due to being able to get around the area easily, avoiding the attacks and bullets that are being flung at you. Once you take out the waves of enemies, you'll eventually take Paul down, finishing this game. After finishing the game, you'll unlock a bunch of achievements if you played this on the hardest difficulty. The first of these is Time Master for just completing the game, Time Bandit for finishing the game on casual, Time Cop for finishing the game on normal difficulty, Time Lord for finishing the game on hard difficulty, and your exceptional qualities are obvious, which is for completing Act 5. Now that I'd finished the main game, it was time to mop up the final 2 achievements that I hadn't got whilst playing through. These are 2 achievements you could easily pick up in the main game, but you can easily do after. The first of these was Area Effect. To get this, you just have to kill 15 enemies using environmental explosions. I almost got this playing through the main story, but had to do it a few more times just to get this achievement. After reloading the same checkpoint a few times and killing the same enemies, I eventually got the achievement.
That's where I needed to cut him off.
And then the final achievement in this game for me was Frozen Lead. To get this achievement, you have to stack 1,000 bullets using Time Stop. Again, this is one I thought I might have been able to get whilst playing through the main story, but just had to get a few more at the end. Once again, just finding a key part of the story where there's a lot of enemies, I just reload the checkpoint on easy difficulty, making sure to use it as often as possible. Eventually, I did this enough and got the final achievement of Quantum Break. When the wheel first gave me Quantum Break, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. As I said, I remember it coming out a few years ago, but I didn't really hear much about it other than the sort of weird TV show linked to it. But after playing it, I have to say I really quite enjoyed it. The story's really interesting and the gameplay is a lot of fun too. The abilities and the way you can use them to take enemies down and get around the areas that you're fighting them are really, really good. Also, the puzzles you have to complete whilst you go along are also great. I do think maybe if they spent more time on the game and added more stuff to it instead of spending so much money and time on the TV show linked to it, it could have been even better. Unfortunately, due to the game being quite old, the TV show didn't work, so I wasn't able to watch that, and after watching a few clips here and there, it's not something I was particularly interested in diving any deeper. This is definitely a game that I'd recommend to people if they've never played it or even never heard of it. So if you haven't and you're one of those people, I'd definitely recommend it. So I hope you enjoyed the second episode of this series and are looking forward to more coming in the future. If you've made it this far and you haven't already, a subscribe would go a long way, and I appreciate any support and recommendations on how to improve these. So I'll see you in the next one.